Hello, Enrich community. This is your virtual bestie, Bisleen Attli. Welcome back to the Enrich podcast, the show where we explore topics that inspire you, grow you, and make you a better version of yourself. Have you ever wondered how you can unlock your brain's potential and elevate your performance in every aspect of your life? If yes, in today's episode, we will be learning about how we can optimize our brain health with a naturopathic doctor and also uncover how we can boost our brain power and achieve peak performance. Today, we have Dr. Bisleen Attli with us, who loves helping aspiring high performers optimize their brain health to unlock their full potential. Her own journey began with personal mental health struggles, which transformed when she discovered how to support her brain with the right diet, movement, sleep, supplements, and mindset strategies. Now she's dedicated to helping others achieve their dreams by enhancing their brain health. Dr. Attli also enjoys presenting workshops in schools, working with her co-founder, Tara Rawana, at All About Mental Empowerment to promote great mental health. As someone who knows what it takes to excel, she's passionate about helping others harness the power of their minds to reach their goals. Wow, this is beautiful. All the amazing work that you're doing, Dr. Attli. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Simran, and for that warm welcome. I'm so excited to be here and just talk about all things brain health. I'm so passionate about this topic.
I love that. And I'm also very delighted to have you on the show, and I cannot wait to pick your brain on how we can optimize our brain health. So, before we do all of that, let's actually start by asking about your journey and what led you to become an expert in this field.
Yeah, so when it comes to just my own journey with mental health, I struggled a lot with my brain health as a young person growing up. In my late teens, early 20s, I actually struggled with chronic depression for about 5 years. And that was a really, really tough and hard time in my life. I had no knowledge or education on how to support my brain health. And so every decision and choice I made for myself just tended to make things worse. And, things just got so bad in my life at one point. I actually ended up in the hospital as a result of my depression. And that's when I had like a huge wake up call. And I was like, I really need to do something different in my life. Or I didn't see my life or myself really getting better. And when I started to reach out for help and support when it came to my brain health, I went to therapy, I talked to a psychiatrist, and like that's kind of where all the support stopped, right? There was support with my mindset, and the other option was medications, and that's about it. And I tried both of those things, and I still wasn't getting to a place where I was feeling great, and or at least the level that I wanted to feel. And that's when I really started to do my own research and started to look at all these other things that impact our brain health, aka our diet, our movement, our sleep. And I remember being in university and I tried like every diet under the sun. I was like vegan, carnivore, keto, like I tried it all for a little bit. And I got really diligent on working out. I remember I used to wake up at 5, 6 a.m. in university and go to the gym first thing in the morning. I started to optimize my sleep and learn how to work and all that. And it's with a combination of all of these things that I really started to feel better. And then I started to feel better and better and better. And I was just like, wow, like you can wake up and feel good every single day. You can wake up and actually be excited to get out of bed. And so going through my journey and I discovered naturopathic medicine along the way, I was like, I want to teach as many people as possible how like freaking incredible life can actually feel when you learn how to support your brain health. So I know what it feels like to be at rock bottom, to just feel like your life has just crumbled and fallen apart, to just wake up and feel so much pain and sadness every day. And now being on the complete other end where, I spend most of my time living in gratitude and joy and happiness. I know what the other end feels like. And so being at that place of rock bottom and that's what that really inspires me, motivates me, just to help other people because I know what it feels like to be struggling so much every single day.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to say thank you so much for sharing your story and for being vulnerable, because it takes a lot for yourself to pull out of that. state. And so I'm glad that you were able to, and now you're helping others achieving high performance and letting other know that it's possible to be on the other side and wake up every single day and feel good. They're just mindset strategies and other strategies that you need to implement. So that actually leads me to my next question for you. I know you're very big on, becoming a high performer. You talk all about it, the strategies on your socials as well. So, what does it mean to be a high performer, and how do you become a high performer?
Yeah. So when it comes to being a high performer, I think a lot of us have such a idea of what it means to be a high performer, but a lot of us don't know what it actually means. We look at these people who are achieving some big things in life and we think that that's what it means to be a high performer. So yes, when it comes to being a high performer, there is a part where it's like it's someone who is able to go above and beyond to achieve things in life and achieve goals in life, right? But the other pieces that people forget about what it means to be a high performer is that true high performers are actually happier and healthier than their peers. So when I describe someone who is a high performer, I describe high performers as someone who can go above and beyond to achieve their goals, but they're also happy and healthy as they do it. And I think for a lot of us in our mind, when we think about top performers, when we think about achieving our goals, feeling happy and healthy is oftentimes not tied to it. And I constantly have to remind my clients that if you are not happy and healthy achieving your goals, you're not a top performer. I don't care if you make $1 million a month. I don't consider you a top performer because you're miserable and unhealthy, right? So that's essentially what it means to be a top performer. And I think that so many of us, we need to really define what it means to be in our mind, because for a lot of us, we're like, I don't want to perform at a high level because these people don't look happy and they look really unhealthy and they have like 10 different diseases. And if you feel that way, I just want to let you know that that's not what it actually means to be a top performer.
Right. No, I love that perspective, because when we do look at people achieving all these goals, we think they must be happy. And then you have a conversation with them, but they don't have the mental piece that you're looking for now. They're actually working backwards to achieve that goal, right? So I think that's important to have that perspective and kind of see what your definition of a high performer is. So I love that. Thank you for sharing that. Actually want to learn from you and pick your brain. So, how do we become a high performer? Are you able to share some strategies and tips with us and how we can become a high performer starting today?
Yeah. So one of the keys is I really think understanding how your brain works. So one of the things that I've done is I've actually developed these 7 different high performer types. I know that you're going to share that link in the show notes. So take that
Yes.
quiz, find out what your high performer type is, because one of the things that I first started to do when I really wanted to improve my brain health is just getting a better understanding of how my brain actually works, right? Learning that my brain is wired for negativity, and being positive and being in this state of gratitude and joy has to be an everyday effort, and really just starting to learn how my brain works and love it for the way that it works instead of hating my brain, because so many of us, we spend all day long hating ourselves, hating our brain for how it works, instead of accepting it for how it works, and learning how to best cope with it, and deal with it and move through with it. And so the 7 different brain types that I have developed, each one of those brain types is very unique and has unique nuances and ways that they specifically need support. And when you understand your brain type, it just completely changes everything. Um, Now, when it comes to specifically, just general tips and strategies of becoming a high performer, do you want me to kind of talk about diet, movement, sleep? Like, how do you want me to kind of share some of these
Yes,
strategies?
I would love that. So I'm glad that you talked about why it's important to work on our brain health. I think it's so much more important for us to understand like how nutrition really factors in, and our diet and movement as well, because I know you're very big on all of these aspects.
Yeah. So when it comes to becoming a high performer, diet is so important. And I think that, again, this is just one of those areas, right? Like we totally miss out on. A lot of people, when it comes to the high performance world, they think about, visualizing and saying all the positive talks and their schedule and time management. And all of those things are so important. But if you're not feeding your body and brain the right nutrients, you're not going to be able to perform and show up the way that you want to. And I've seen even just so many of my clients who've been doing all the mindset work, but really when we optimize their diet, they start to show up in life in such a powerful way. So a couple of things in terms of diet. Number one, getting enough protein. I tell all of my patients 25 to 30 grams of protein is what you need with every single meal.
Okay.
So important. I even have like a little protein cheat sheet that I usually share with my patients, because I know for a lot of us, we're like, that is a lot of protein. And yes, it is. But eating enough protein will help keep your body like really nourished, right? So you don't feel hungry 2 to 3 hours later. Protein forms the building blocks of all your neurotransmitters and hormones. So GABA, which is your calming hormone, serotonin, your happiness hormone, dopamine, that hormone that you need for reward, concentration, focus. It's all formed from protein. And so many of us were not getting enough protein. So making sure you're getting 25, 30 grams of protein with every meal becomes so important.
I have
Another
a
big piece
question
too.
for you regarding the
Yeah.
protein that you mentioned. Like, does it matter how much you weigh or your body type, or you must have 20 to 25 grams of protein with every meal that you
Yeah, so usually what they recommend is about 0.8 grams per kilogram body weight of
eat? Okay,
protein.
got it.
Okay. On average, it ends up being around 25 to 30 grams of protein per meal on
Gotcha.
average, right? So that's kind of like the average tip I give. And then when I work with my clients one to one, I'll give them like a more specific number to aim for. Now, if you are working out, you will need a little bit more, but usually that's a good number and starting point to be at. Other piece too that I'm a really big advocate for is eating breakfast and making sure you're eating dinner like foods for breakfast. I feel like this is also like a very unconventional way to look at things, but our whole lives we've been marketed that breakfast needs to be cereals, it needs to be bagels, it needs to be pancakes, and these are the worst foods to eat in the morning because they're high carbohydrate foods. And when we start off our morning with a high carbohydrate meal, we're starting off our day with a big blood sugar spike, and then we're going to crash shortly afterwards. So,
Mhm.
what I like to advocate for is that we should be actually eating dinner for breakfast. And for a lot of people, this can seem like a really big jump, but oftentimes, like the other day, I had a chicken breast, veggies, and quinoa for breakfast. That's literally what I started my day off with. And I really feel like we need to start looking at breakfast and making sure it's the most nutritious meal of the day, not the yummiest meal of the day.
I love
Sorry.
that you shared the examples that you're giving in, because sometimes when we're thinking about like what should I eat today, and you're like limited with options. Oh, should I have a sausage with bacon or eggs on the side with a toast, right? That's the only thing that we think about. Our pancakes that you mentioned, our cereal. So I'm glad that you're able to bring in those examples. Like, you can have dinner for breakfast too. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. And like the only reason it feels weird is because you've just been marketed your whole life. Breakfast has to be these other foods. And honestly, Simran, I am such a big proponent and fan of this because I have firsthand noticed the difference within myself and my brain health when I made this shift. One of my most popular things to eat in the morning was 2 eggs, toast with avocado on it. Okay. And I was like, this is healthy. But here's the thing, I did not feel as energetic. I would feel slow and sluggish after having that breakfast. When you even look at 2 eggs only have about like 12 to 13 grams of protein,
Right.
right? Avocados maybe have like 1 or 2 grams. I don't think it's too high. Bread, unless you're having high protein bread, it doesn't, right? So you're really not getting enough of those nutrients that your brain needs in the morning. And when I started to switch up my breakfast and have, so if I do have eggs in the morning, I'll actually have 4 eggs because that actually equates to enough protein, right? Then I'll have some nuts and seeds for the healthy fats, and I'll put a lot of veggies in the eggs. And wow, the difference that I've noticed in my energy, my ability to concentrate, show up. And then the days I end up actually having like a legit dinner for breakfast, like the chicken breast, veggies, quinoa, like huge difference in my energy. So I'm a big proponent of it. I know for a lot of people it makes them uncomfortable, or it feels weird to have vegetables for breakfast. But when you notice the difference in your energy, like you literally don't want to go back.
Right, right. I love that. I'm actually working with a practitioner too for the last few months now, and I'm vegetarian. I've been vegetarian for the last 6, 7 years, so I've been always looking for ways that I can add more protein in my diet. So I'm very focused on lentils right now, and quinoa, and beans, and eggs. I do eat eggs. So something when she mentioned similar to what you're saying, you need to increase your protein intake, and usually you're like, oh, I just can have another protein shake, right? So same thing what you mentioned. She's like, hey, like I know you have 2 eggs in the morning, maybe have one more egg, like start making these minor changes. So we forget how these subtle changes can make huge impact. And I've also noticed I started to add more veggies in my diet in the morning, and I do feel like I don't crash easily. Usually when I would just have eggs and a toast, or just a toast in the morning and my tea or coffee, I would feel so sluggish and I would be craving another meal within an hour or two. So I love that you shared that it's important to have bigger breakfast with full of veggies and more protein. So that way you're feeling full and your brain health is happier.
Yes. And that's the other huge point that you brought up there, right? Is that we don't eat nourishing breakfast and then 2 hours later we're craving food. And it's like, imagine, and then also think about too the mental energy it takes to try to get rid of your craving. I feel it all the time, right? Like you're trying to concentrate, get work done, in the middle of the day you're craving a croissant or a cookie. Like the mental energy it takes, no croissant, no cookie. But it's like, I want it, but no, but I like, the mental, imagine if you could just focus on your work instead and put that energy towards your work instead
Yeah.
of constantly being worried about like this croissant, cookie, brownie craving that you're internally having. And so if you actually nourish yourself with the right food, you don't have that during the day. And that's why if you're trying to become a top performer, the first meal of your day and your lunch should be the most nutritious meals of your day. Like have your pancakes for dinner if you want to. Don't have them in the morning because you're going to destroy your performance, and good
Mhm.
luck trying to show up during the day feeling motivated, like you can concentrate and actually get the work that you need to get done.
Absolutely. Love that. I also want to delve into the other side when it comes to exercise and, other strategies if you can recommend on becoming a high performer. I love that you shared about the diet and how crucial it is to be a high performer. But if you can kind of delve into the other piece as well about, exercising and how important it is to move and sleep and yeah, share all of that you always share on socials too.
Yeah, yeah. Movement so important, especially just for our brain health. And in general, research is coming up to show that like sitting is like the new smoking. So moving our bodies becomes extremely important. And especially if you're someone who's just like, I experience like low energy during the day, I don't feel as motivated or as focused, like you probably need to move your body more. So
Hmm.
the other thing to clarify here as well is a lot of us think that if we do one like 30, 60-minute workout during the day, it's enough movement, and it's not. If you do a 30, 60-minute movement workout and then you just sit all day long, it's almost like you didn't even do the workout. That's how bad sitting is for
Really?
us. Our bodies are
Why is
not
that?
meant to be sitting all day long. Yeah. Because we just
Okay.
need a way more movement. So on top of like me doing my 30 to 60-minute workout, I'll still make sure that I try to get at least 7,000 to 8,000 steps throughout the day that I'm walking around.
Got it. Okay.
Um,
That makes sense.
I've also just, again, this is my firsthand experience with this too, is taking walking breaks during the day. So I'll get up and go on 2 to 3, 20 to 30-minute walks during the day as a break. Huge shift in mental energy, clarity, motivation, just something as simple as getting up and walking. I used
Right.
to be the type of person before who would just try to sit down for 8, 9, 10 hours and just work. And it was awful. By the end of the day, I would be exhausted, irritable. I just felt miserable and like I hated my life. And as soon as I started to break up my day with these like walks in between, like everything changed. Meetings that I can do on a walk, I try to do on a walk, just so I can get out and move my body more. Because as soon as you move your body, you improve your stress levels, right? As soon as you move your body, your brain gets blood flow to it, like so powerful, right? Moving your body actually helps to rewire your brain's pathways. So if you're someone who's working on trying to be more positive, live in gratitude and joy, move your body more, because it'll help to rewire those pathways and instill those pathways. And as soon as you move your body releases those happy hormones, right?
Hmm.
Nobody's ever gone on a walk and been like, oh, I wish I didn't do that. No, because you feel so good, right? So
Very true.
movement is just so essential. So it's good if you're getting a 30 to 60-minute workout in, but look at getting up and moving your body every 2 to 3 hours, just for like 10, 15 minutes. Go on a walk, move around your home. So important for you. And then sleep equally as well, right? Especially if you're someone who's trying to be a top performer, you're using your brain energy a lot during the day. So if you're not giving your brain enough time to rest and rejuvenate, then you are really missing out on your brain's full potential. And for anybody who's trying to become a top performer, the one thing I want to say too is like, get real with yourself as to how much rest you need. I think Simran, we were talking about this earlier, and like lately, I have started to become real with myself that I actually need 8.5 to 9 hours of sleep. And I feel my best when I do that. And for so many years of my life, I spent sleeping like 6.5 to 7 hours. And I noticed a wild difference in letting myself just sleep an hour, hour and a half more. So if this means for me going to bed at 8:30 so I can wake up early, like I do that. I don't watch my Netflix at night because I know how important sleep is for me. Or if there's a 60-minute Netflix episode, I watch it in like 3 days because I do 20 minutes one day, 20 minutes another day. But if that means like improving my sleep, then it's so worth it because I show up during the day in such a powerful way. And I feel like I tackle challenges that show up in my life in such a powerful way when I sleep. And the best thing, honestly, you can do before bed is to put away technology at least 60 minutes before and do something that helps you actually unwind. So, I'll take a hot bath, I'll read, I'll do like my facial hygiene, maybe I'll use a massage gun, do some stretches, and just doing things to really help me relax and unwind. And you get such a good sleep if you give your brain and body the chance to do that before bed.
I actually have an example to share. So for the last little bit, I know we talked about this too, about our sleep. For the last week and a half, I was barely getting proper sleep, like maybe like 6.5 hours of sleep, which is not enough for myself either. As we mentioned that you should get very, very honest with yourself how many hours of sleep you need to get to feel good. And for myself, it's 8 hours minimum, too. And before that, for the last year, even beginning of this year, I found that I wasn't sleeping as much, and I would find myself that I'm doing all these amazing things, taking care of myself, but sleep was the only common factor that was not, getting enough rest every single day was what I found was not really helping me over time, because even for the last week and a half, when I wasn't getting proper sleep, I found that I was more anxious. I was not in more present with my body. And last night, I got really good, I believe 8 hours, 8.5 hours of sleep. And I felt like I was on top of the world this morning. And I was like, what did I do so different today than yesterday? Which was the one thing that I changed was my sleep. And it just shows a lot that how sleep has a huge positive impact on your day to day. And I'm glad that you're bringing that up. Like, I also had this belief in the past because, as you mentioned, we think like high performers, like, always like rushing through your day, achieving X amount of goals in a year or in a day. And I found that my mental health was suffering. I didn't have the peace that I wanted. And I had this belief that, sleeping a lot is a waste of time. That was my belief in the past. And now my belief has changed because if I'm not feeling good, if I'm not well rested, I don't feel good. So what's the point of achieving X amount of goals if I don't have the inner peace that I'm looking for? So love that you shared that. And that is also one of the main factors on becoming a, high performer. So thank you. Actually want to talk about stress management here because I know it's so important to learn how to manage your stress. And stress is one of the main reasons why people have all these diseases, right? Are you able to maybe, talk a little bit about stress and why it's important to learn how to manage stress to become a high performer?
Yeah. I mean, stress just destroys everything. you know? And I think it's important too to understand, like, obviously we want a healthy amount of stress in our life. Like a little like healthy amounts of stress actually motivate us to get things done, right?
Right.
It's when our stress feels like it becomes unmanageable and it significantly affects our life, like it's starting to affect our relationships, our ability to show up at work, when stress affects our ability to take care of our health, that's when we really need to just like take a step back, check in with ourselves, and look at how we're actually managing our stress.
Mm.
And I think that is the number one issue. A lot of us aren't managing stress. I think that, again, and I feel like I see this closely tied to the high performance world too. A lot of us think that the only way to achieve our goals is if we're really stressed out. That if we start to, I actually had one of my clients, and she works as a part of a corporation, right? And she told me that she felt like she needed to be anxious and stressed at work in order to actually get her work done. And she told me that when she starts to actually feel happy, she doesn't want to do her work. And I was like, well, that's the problem right there. You can be really happy and do your work. And actually, when you feel good, you actually want to do work more, right? But for a lot of us, we have it twisted. We think that we have to be in this anxious, stress state in order to achieve our goals. And that is not true. So, first, we need to break down that belief. Why can't we believe that we can be really happy and joyful and in a state of gratitude as we achieve our goals and become massively successful? And I think too, right? For a long time, we've been told we have to work really, really hard. We have to be in this anxious, stress state. We have to sacrifice everything in our life. And once you have this belief, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? You find a way to make things be more stressful and harder than they need to be because success can't be easy. Success can't feel good. So that's the first place that we all need to start at and look at what are your beliefs around what it means to be a high performer, to achieve your goals, to be successful. When it comes to really just learning how to manage stress during the day. So your ability to manage stress ultimately comes down to your nervous system, right? So we have two main nervous system states. We have the sympathetic nervous system, which is the stress system, and the parasympathetic nervous system, which is our calming nervous system. And what I always say is that if you want to achieve higher levels of success, you have to make sure that your nervous system can expand and allow you to actually handle large amounts of success, right? So if an example, right, like Jeff Bezos, he's like the CEO of Amazon, right? Lots of success, but Jeff Bezos also has lots of challenges that he needs to handle, right? And so his capacity, like I am not at a spot right now where I could handle Jeff Bezos challenges, right? Maybe if I over time I could, but right now I can't. That would crush me. So if you want to achieve larger amounts of success, you have to ask yourself, how can you handle the current stress that you have at your state of life that you're at right now? Because if you can't handle this current level of stress, you will never achieve the next level of success, because the next level of success, you're also going to have to deal with the next level of challenges.
Very true.
And
Yes.
so this is where learning how to manage your stress and regulate your nervous system becomes really, really important. Because then you become your own bottleneck, because you just feel triggered by everything that's happening in your life. And if you're feeling triggered at this level, how can you ever handle the next level? So knowing how to manage this is very, very important. And how do you really do that? It's through nervous system regulation activities. One of the best things that you can start doing is to look at how you even transition between activities, right? For so many of us, we're just like going through one thing and the next thing and the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. And then before you know it, by the end of the day, we're just exhausted and we don't want to talk to our partner or our family, and we just feel irritated by everyone because we never gave ourselves space to transition between stuff. So, for example, Simone, right before hopping on this recording with you, I was taking a couple of deep breaths and I was letting go of the stress because I was seeing patients earlier today. So I was just letting go of all of that stress, releasing it. And I was setting an intention for how I wanted to show up in this podcast recording. And so by taking little seconds and moments throughout the day to release tension, to set an intention, you help to regulate your nervous system so it doesn't feel like the stress keeps piling on. I'm also a big proponent of doing like breath work, like diaphragmatic breathing exercises, tapping. So tapping is something I teach like all of my patients. It is such a powerful way to calm the nervous system response down. I'll start my morning off with cold showers. So finding pockets of the day to implement these nervous system regulation activities will help to calm the stress response down and make such a big difference in how you show up.
Love that. I love that. I'm also practicing deep breathing a lot more now because I'm learning how to manage stress a lot more. Because if I want to achieve all the success that I want to, it requires for me to expand my nervous system as well. So thank you. I also used to think that, being busy all the time and having too many meetings in my calendar made me feel productive, but that was also the belief. But I was stressed out all the time. I was, low on energy. So that was definitely a belief that I had to switch. And now I feel like, I am very relaxed a lot more because I am taking
Yeah.
those breaks and allowing myself to be more present and have fun while I achieve all my goals. Thank
Amen.
you.
That's what we're about. Yeah.
Yes. I also do want to talk about what role do nootropics or brain boosting supplements really play in enhancing cognitive abilities? And are there any in particular that you recommend?
Yeah, so I huge fan of supplements. Obviously, I think it's important that we remember they are supplements, right? So they're
Right.
supplemental to your diet. So I really want to emphasize that supplements don't replace a healthy diet, which is very important. But I'm a big fan of them. I love them. I always have a pantry of a couple supplements I turn to. So when it comes to brain boosting supplements, I guess I can kind of go over some of the things that I take every day or usually recommend to my patients. So omega 3s, I'm a huge fan of. There is so much research to show just the power of omega 3s on our brain health. So, using things like fish oil. I also just love olive oil in general. Like, I will literally take like 2 tablespoons. I know it's a food, but I'll take like 2 tablespoons of olive oil and just drink it during the day because it's just so good for your brain health. It's such a great source of healthy fats, it's an anti inflammatory. So, huge fan of the omega 3 fish oils. Another one too, probiotics, I think is so important as well, because our gut plays such a big role in how we feel.
Right.
And it's been wild too, just to see in my practice when I get my patients to do just like a gut reset, how it just completely changes the way that they show up in the world. So probiotics, huge fan of. And then other supplements too, depending on the type of support people need. So something that I always keep in my pantry is like a calming supplement.
Okay.
So right now I use this like GABA L-theanine blend. So GABA is our calming hormone neurotransmitter, and then L-theanine is an amino acid that helps our brain be calm but also helps to improve focus. So I like to keep that around if during the day if something just feels a little extra stressful, I'll have like it's a liquid, so I'll have like a little squirt of it. So I like to always keep something calming in my pantry, but then at the same time too I also like to keep something that gives like a little boost of energy as well. So right now one of my favorite supplements is rhodiola. Rhodiola is a herb that helps to kind of promote a sense of calm, but it also gives a little boost of energy. So it's currently I love it so much. It's just you feel calm, but you feel energetic, which is A1. So I'll use that every once in a while as well if I feel like I want an extra boost, but I don't really want to drink coffee or have a second coffee during the day. Something else I always keep in my pantry is a greens powder. So
Okay.
a lot of us were not eating enough vegetables during the day. And the other piece too is that, right, our quality of vegetables and foods has definitely gone down over the years just because the soil isn't being overturned as much and whatnot. And so I like to have an extra greens powder every single day just for that extra boost of energy and nutrients. So these are kind of a couple of my favorite supplements and things that I turn towards. Other pieces too that I often find my patients are deficient in. Vitamin D is a big one, huge. A lot
Right.
of us think that even though it's summer, that we don't need vitamin D anymore. But the issue is that a lot of us we're not getting out in the sun enough. So for us to actually get enough vitamin D from the sun, we need to be out in the sun for 20 minutes and expose 70% of our skin.
Wow.
Who's doing that? No one. That's kind of like almost being in a bikini outside for
Right.
20 minutes, right? And we think that, oh, I went from my car to my house and that's enough. I got sun. Or like I went on a walk, but if everything is like covered and you're wearing sunscreen, you're not really getting enough vitamin D. Now, the other issue too is that your immune system uses up a lot of vitamin D.
Okay.
And we live in very inflammatory environments, right? The food we eat inflames us, the pollution outside inflames us, our stress inflames us. And if we're living in this chronic inflamed state, your immune system is working on overdrive and your immune system is using up a lot of vitamin D. So our bodies are naturally using up a lot of vitamin D, which is why we also need to supplement with it as well. And then the other huge nutrient I find that's almost always deficient is our B vitamins as well.
Okay.
And B vitamins are so important to help produce our happy hormones, dopamine, all of that stuff. So making sure we're getting enough of these nutrients. Usually you can figure this out via blood test is very important too.
Got it. Oh my God, these are some amazing supplements. I'm definitely adding some to my cart for sure. Thank you for sharing those. I also want to talk about environment, right? I know it's a huge factor when it comes to being a high performer. So, are you able to maybe recommend or share some tips that how can someone create an environment that is conducive to high performance, both maybe at work or personal life?
Yeah, our environment is so big, right? And just not even like the physical space that you spend your environment, spend your time in, but even the people that you decide in situations that you decide to give your energy to. Um, Being such a people pleaser, this was always the hardest area for me to work on. But really, the past couple of years, I've let go of so many friendships that just no longer served me, that really just felt like they were bringing me down. And it was honestly some really hard moves to make. Like,
Mhm.
I let go of this one best friend that I've been best friends with since like grade two, right? So like some really hard relationships had to be let go of, because it just wasn't an environment that was helping to bring out the best version of myself, right? And I think
Mhm.
it's so important when you're looking at optimizing your environment, like start asking yourself, like, does this person bring you joy, right? Do these things in your environment bring you joy? So whenever I'm looking at decluttering, and by the way, if you want to like really up level yourself and you want an immediate up level, declutter. Spend a day decluttering. Go through your whole home, and anything that doesn't bring you joy, just let go of it. Just declutter. Let go, right? Go through your relationships, declutter anybody that doesn't bring you joy or isn't helping you become the best version of you. And just watch how just letting go of this weight of things bringing you down just up levels you like this. Like it's wild the changes. Like whenever I feel stuck in my life, I'll just declutter. And it'll be amazing because that opens the doorway for like opportunities and other things to come in. So such a simple exercise, but so powerful. I've been meaning to do a decluttering session, so that's why that came to my mind.
You create more space, so you allow more things to flow in. So it just makes sense.
Exactly. And especially when you're doing a lot of work on yourself and you're changing and growing fast, you need to
Mhm.
declutter fast and let go
Yes.
fast.
Yes.
Because the faster you let go and declutter, the more you make space and room for opportunities to come in, the faster that you essentially grow, which is so important. So a simple exercise is looking at your environment, your physical environment, and then even your personal life and asking yourself, what are the things that bring you joy? And anything that isn't like a heck yes, let it go. And it's hard. It's hard. But you also have to ask yourself, what do you want the hard of? Do you want the hard of being in the same situation around the same people that drain you and bring your energy down? Or do you want the hard of letting go and making space for new opportunities to come in? Right?
Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it for sure. Before we finish off here, I do want to ask you one more question. What are some daily routines and rituals do you recommend for maintaining our, peak performance every single day? Something that you do every single day
Yeah.
that helps you stay in that state?
Yeah, great question. So definitely your morning, right? So waking up in the morning, honestly, I've noticed such a big shift in myself when I wake up and I work out. Like that's the first thing that I do in the morning. And then I'll always spend just a couple of minutes like journaling, setting my intention of the day, right? Instead of just kind of reacting to what comes to me and then spending just a couple of minutes like reading a few pages from a book that really empowers and motivates me. And then throughout the day, doing some sort of activity that helps you bring yourself back to the original intention you set for the day. I think that's very important. A lot of us will have a morning routine, but then we'll let the chaos of the day get to us because we didn't intentionally do anything to bring ourselves back down. Back to that place and that intention we set for the day. So for me, that's my walks. For me, that's when I transition between activities. I take a couple of seconds and deep breaths to think about how it is that I actually want to show up in this moment. And so having some sort of way that you transition between things is very important. The other piece too is when you end your workday, what do you do? Do you just jump straight to your personal life? Do you do anything that actually helps you unwind from the day? right? Again, that could be a couple of minutes of deep breathing, going on a walk, right? Doing something that brings you joy so you're not carrying the stress into your personal life, right? And then the
Mm.
last pieces that I hold, that I really, really try to do is just like my sleep routine. So important, because getting enough sleep and the right amount of sleep is important. So it's kind of like looking at your day and making sure you have blocks and spaces during your day that bring you back to calm, joy, ease, peace, and like literally schedule them out. Because if you don't do that, you're going to get caught and lost in the chaos and the stress of life. Like, you need constant reminders, and everybody does. If I don't intentionally schedule it in my day, I'll get lost in the chaos of the day. It has to be an everyday intentional thing.
This is amazing. I don't think I have a routine when it comes to transitioning from my professional life to my personal life. So that's definitely something I need to work on. So great tips. Thank you for sharing that. And I lied. I have one more question for you and ask all my guest speakers this question. So, what motivates and inspires you every single day?
Yeah. Um, Two things. Definitely my family. My parents for sure, like they have done so much for me, so many sacrifices that they've made, and I want to make sure that when they look at me, they're so proud of me and they know that I'm repping the Attli name well. So that's definitely one thing. And honestly, the other piece that motivates me a lot too is, just being at that place of rock bottom and knowing how painful it feels to be at this like dark, scary place where your thoughts just feel so hard and challenging and you don't know how to overcome them. But you're this person who has all these big goals and dreams, but you're like, how the heck do I support myself to get there? And that the primary population of people that I work with right now, right? People who are just like, I have these big goals and dreams, but I don't know how to help myself to get there. And I know what that feels like. And so that's what motivates me to wake up every day and do what I do, because I know that there's so many people out there who have so many big, amazing things they want to do. And if I can be their guide to show them and help them unlock the power of their brain so that they can do that, like, that's a dream come true for me.
I love that. That is beautiful, and you're killing it. You're always sharing some amazing tips on socials and the work that you're doing in the community. So we love that. So keep showing up because we need you more.
Thank you. Thank
I just want to thank you. This was amazing. We learned so much from you, and I'm sure there's someone out there who is looking for exactly what we talked about here. So thank you for sharing that. And can you actually tell all of us where we can find you, how people can follow you? And of course, I'll be listing everything in the podcast description below with the resources and your IG handle and your
you.
website and all that cool stuff. So if you can share yourself, like how can people reach out to you?
Yeah. So I'm pretty active on YouTube. So you can find me on YouTube. I share tons of long form videos on just all these topics. And then on Instagram as well. On Instagram, you can find me at Holistic Brain Doctor, where again, I share tons of tips on just how can you really crush your anxiety, fear, limiting beliefs so that you can really fulfill your potential.
Love that. Well, thank you, Dr. Bisleen Attli. I am so happy that we did this episode, and I cannot wait to share this episode with every single person out there because they need to hear exactly what we shared here and to also become a high performer and learn how they can optimize their brain health. So, thank you so much for your time here today. And Enrich community, thank you so much for showing up. Please share this episode with someone that you truly care about, not just with one person, two people today. And like our channel, subscribe to our channel, like this video. And thank you so much for always showing up. And I'm going to leave you with this, like I always do, sending you a lot of love and positive vibes. Take care and see you next Tuesday.